Do you ever feel a wave of anxiety about your manifestation and immediately get hit with guilt or fear because you're thinking, if I was actually a pro manifester, I wouldn't be feeling this way? I must be sabotaging things, right? Well, what if I told you that the anxiety really isn't the problem? In fact, there's a mistake that so many people make that goes under the radar that's actually blocking their results.
So, if you're new to us, I'm a sorcerer. Yes, sorcerer and aurora. And we're here to help high achievers break through to the next level of their life through precise energy work. And in this video, we're going to show you the real culprit that stops your creation in its tracks and the crucial difference between a feeling and a decision. Lastly, how to feel doubt or anxiety without derailing your desired reality. Let's clear this up.
So, the first thing we need to talk about is anxiety, right? And how it's not ruining your manifestation. And the reason for this is anxiety is just a feeling. And when you decide to purposely create something in your reality, the key word is actually decide, right? But what we get mixed up is that the feeling of anxiety is not the same as the decision of what you want. So you can feel something and still decide that even though I'm feeling this, it's actually not stopping me. In fact, it's a part of the journey. So let's back up a little bit, and I'd like to ask you, Saucer, why does feeling anxious or doubtful make a lot of people think that they've failed at manifesting?
It's just due to past experience of aligning certain emotions, and these doubts might be a situation that they have not dealt with or have experienced certain situations such as failures, losses, and they're still putting power towards that, towards their energy when they are feeling this feelings of doubt, anxiousness. It's just as you said at the start, just a feeling. And that feeling of anxiousness and doubts has an origin story attached to that.
We should highlight that there is a big difference in feeling not ready and actually being not ready. And being not ready is physically you haven't prepared for it, you have zero idea about the subject, and this is what we can think about when we're actually talking about concrete things. So obviously when you set the intention, for example, of being a surgeon, right? Well, logically being not ready is you haven't gone to school, you don't know anatomy, right? But when your mind and your body makes you feel not ready, that doesn't mean it's an actual fact.
Absolutely, because the difference behind that is you having the knowledge that you've been taught, and the other side of it is utter incompetence of not knowing anything at all. So when you have this feeling of this anxiousness, um, for me, it should be empowered into understanding that we are human. We are in this 3D. And I always tell people, and this is something that, if you don't mind, I'm going to utilize this as an example. I used to box, and utilizing this anxiousness means that you care, right? You can use this as a form of channeling the best version of you. Normally, when people don't have this energy, it usually means two things: either they're completely flat, right, and they're going to succumb towards saying, you know what, I can't do this. Whereas you can use this as a catapult towards your next move, your next chapter. It's all about the one thing that Aurora says from the start: how you use this for your decisions. That's going to bring out the best of you during that time.
You mentioned that this feeling of not being ready is rooted in like old decisions and past experiences, right?
Yes.
So how does that, is it like a cycle that just continues to play itself out? Like, is it the same thing from an old experience, or how would you describe it?
Usually, if you don't change something, it only becomes a cycle, right? So initially, whether you are been hiding this from a long period of time and now it's coming up to boil, eventually it's going to come, and it's going to, you're going to have to face it. Now, the best way that I always say to people is try to deal with it as early as you can, because that way you can break these cycles, because everything is based on decisions in what you do in your life. But if you're vetted for these particular changes because you can utilize certain shifts and set in the difference, that way, that's sorry, if you can make this a certain um, moment in yourself to say the old version of me or the new version of me, this is me being ready to not being ready, you can make better decisions once you know. That'll be able to help you decipher your next move.
So it's like at every moment, especially when it comes to when we have to make those decisions, there's two versions of us existing at the same time, right? And instead of constantly reverting back to the old version of us who is used to that cycle of the old decision, and then maybe if it doesn't work out, it just validates and makes that pattern in our mind stronger. It's the practice of constantly choosing and reaffirming the no, I'm going this way now. It's I've decided, right? Because we've separated the feeling from the decision.
The past versus the present. And that basically is going to be something really defining for anyone that makes that situation. The past will always become uncomfortable if you've put power towards that. Whereas if you make these changes in the present, present only dictates of how you have a better future. So it's really and truly the past versus the present. And you're basically giving yourself an opportunity to either build, grow through your own decision making, which is about trusting yourself. This is a
Mm.
true exercise of trust,
Hmm.
and not to panic when you have to trust. It's when you put a stamp, a seal saying, no, I own it.
So, what is the actual? We keep saying decision, but I want to get as specific as possible because specific
Mm,
means clarity.
mm,
What is the actual decision that they have to make at every moment, even when they're feeling uncomfortable or
mm.
fear?
Do I decide to say yes and go through this without even thinking? Or am I not ready, basically? Am I ready or not ready? And if you're ready, you're gonna say yes. If you're not ready, which is still okay, because no one, there are no lessons. I mean, there are no losses, but only lessons. Then you're gonna say no. But there's always an opportunity for yes.
And how do you know you're ready when maybe your body or that past version of you is screaming you're not ready?
That's a great question. I've said this to myself while we were going through major changes ourselves in our lives, right? And I said, I am ready because no matter what happens, I've done the preparation. So as I will go, I will grow. That everything that happens because of what I've learned from the years and years of me doing the energy works and the tarot, this is all based upon the experiences of what I've been taught. And the only thing that has to stop that's stopping me right now is that question mark. Well, if you've learned everything from what you know, you are the answer towards that question mark. So therefore, you go with it.
And moving on into the actual more of the how, right? Like we've broken down the perspective, but what does that look like in real life? Going into what's happening from a felt sense, because really it's about being able to feel those emotions but know that it's old energy and constantly making that choice, right? Well, how do you regulate yourself, right? Because even now, today, with we've been doing this for so long, helping people with rituals, you've been doing coaching, we still feel anxiety about certain things,
And you
right?
know what we do? We discuss, we reflect, we internalize together or we internalize separately. And we look upon the goals and the achievements that we have done and the things that we have dealt with through our own experiences. And we utilize that as gold, our own gold, to go forth with whatever we've got to do going forwards in terms of our decisions. Now, for anyone that's in a couple, I would highly recommend you guys to exercise this through communication. But if you're on your own, I want you to really reflect on the things that you have learned, the things that you have gone through, because your experience will dictate and be the real decision of where you're going. And if you may not know all of how you feel, but you know what you know. And what you know is going to help you dictate wherever you go through this state of resistance without even panicking. And even if you feel a little bit of an unrest, you're able to navigate this through your experiences of what you've learned. Because if this is truly emotion, the feeling of emotion you'll be able to regulate. If this is something that you've got to attain through learning, you're going to learn more. There are different avenues of how you're able to navigate through this period of having to process these things. But ultimately, all of these things that you will internalize will help you with your decision making.
Yes, and the things, like you said, it's about feeling the emotion. And what you can do as you're feeling this emotion are things such as EFT tapping, right? Emotional freedom technique. It's super simple. You can go on Google, it'll show you an image. It's the process of tapping on these points. You can do things like intentional breathing, right? Breathing in, um, and then breathing out at a slower pace than when you breathed in. You can utilize things around you, such as chamomile tea, lavender tea, passion flower is a really big one, to where what you want to do is just be able to ride through that wave, because it's not like you feel that feeling every single second of the day. And if you do, you have some somatic work to do to help you feel safer in your body in general. But energy is temporary, and what you're feeling is actually old energy from those past experiences, from those past decisions that are still repeating. And if you can detach from that energy and keep with that decision of like, no, that's not in my energy anymore, I'm just feeling this and that's okay, then this will become much, much easier for you.
And just a quick one, when you go through the process of, you're in that moment of having to sort of reflect, I want you to empower yourself. I want you to think about the small wins as much as you will think of your high stake achievements. Because these habits that of you winning are going to help you go through and persevere when you're going to reaffirm a decision. Because it shows you that you have had the winning mentality, the champion mindset. You've made decisions from the past, and you're actually going to repeat these things. You're going to repeat these things because you have shown yourself that you have made decisions in where you have won, where you have achieved, where you have reached a achievement maybe through difficulty, and you can have that shared experiences to yourself and apply that when you're going to make another decision. Give yourself those flowers and remind yourself that you deserve these flowers. Because often when we go through this period of energy of the feeling, it's because we don't feel fulfilled. We feel empty. Now it's time for you to put that energy of emptiness and fill it up with the things that you need to celebrate yourself with.
That's a good point you just made as well about how in the past, I would say the majority of us, it is not the case that we have only made bad decisions or that we have only failed. So you can also like sometimes I like to use the logic of the anxiety and fear to my benefit as well to make it fair. And so if I'm thinking, "Oh, what if I fail because of this in the past?" then we also have to consider the times in the past where actually we did good. And you said this earlier as well. It's also a matter of building trust in yourself, trusting yourself to know. It's kind of like, I always refer to like there's two sides of me, the parent and the child. The parent is the one that is the reassurance of like telling the child, hey, even though you're feeling this way, I've got you. We've got this and we're going to be okay. So for you, I just want to paint the picture a bit about once you started to implement these things that you know now, like how do you feel overall in terms of like dealing with maybe if anxiety comes up, like what is I guess what is the embodied feeling now that you understand what's happening?
Are we basing it from who I was to who I am now?
Yeah, like who you are now. Would you say like even though you feel anxiety, you feel more confident overall?
Yes, there is this, it's a growing confidence. And even when I go through the emotions of my own anxieties and anxiousness, I look back on the hallmarks of not just wins, but things that I had to go through that gave me moments of difficulty and I persevered. And that itself is just important because that itself I can correlate towards making that decision. And I said, hold on a minute. Every time I'm just about to make a decision, I've shown myself in the past that these certain times actually was for my benefit. Whether they were the outcomes that I want, they were still for my benefit. So you can utilize those times when maybe certain things didn't come to fruition. However, the experience of you having to go through that itself shows you that you have the courage and you have the capabilities of making decisions that no matter what, now you know that they're not losses, they're lessons.
And I know for me, like let's say in the past before I learned all of these things, right? Whenever I would feel anxiety, it used to be so crippling because it's like I had this fear of it or I even felt like shame on top of it because it's like, why am I feeling this way? Like, is there something wrong with me? But taking back my power with the emotions and realizing that it's just energy and that it like feeling this energy isn't gonna like unalive me or there's no actual physical danger to these emotions, it allowed me to feel more secure in myself and even raise my self-esteem because it's like nothing or no one can actually like make me feel a type of way that I can't handle. And even more so, people can't really make me feel anything at all because whatever emotion that does rise up, it's temporary and I can examine, well, why did that resonate anyway? And then I just debunk it from something in the past that was an illusion anyway. So yeah, any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
I'm letting you guys know that these exercises, and let's say you go through a period of dealing with these things, you become more resilient. Things such as decisions, and you may be feeling, oh, it's a big massive thing. They will become smaller. They will become smoother. And this is about you utilizing these things because this is how you truly decode and how you become better. Because at the end of the day, our message is to let you know that it isn't just about the decisions, but it's about you learning that whatever decisions that you make, you can still pivot, but you still feel the confidence because you've got the exercises of how to deal with those scenarios.
Yes, and remember, right? And further wrapping it up, that just because you feel something, whatever that feeling is, doesn't mean it's a block to what you're consciously creating. Do not confuse a feeling for a decision. And if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to check out the video linked down below where we spoke about how manifesting isn't meant to be hard and break down what it is that may be making you feel that way. Feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
In the next, take care.